Hi, Nick McQuaid here. I'd like to talk to you about data collection and specifically about problematic data collection, which is related to an assignment for you for this week. So it is often said that what gets counted counts. And I want to give you an anecdote from Louisiana in the 1960s. My father's boss, who was a casual racist, asserted that black people, which he didn't use that term, don't commit suicide because they are basically happy-go-lucky people. My father countered that they commit suicide at least the rate of white people and offered a bet, which Lieutenant Colonel Doty, that was the racist, happily accepted. And my father went to the local Hall of Records. This was in Bossier City, Louisiana, and to his dismay found that records of the deaths of black people were not kept, period. There was no chance to prove his point. Can you believe that? And this was in the 1960s. I mean, this is not ancient history. What gets counted counts, and Lieutenant Colonel Doty could go on believing what he liked. Now, you're going to do a reading about the fact that better records are kept of the rich and powerful, and sparser records are kept of the poor and vulnerable. And the question is, why does this matter? This is in Data Feminism, Chapter 4. And you're going to find that my father's story is an example of this. And your job is going to be to think of more. For example, how much access to services should poor people be given in contemporary society? To answer that, you need data. Okay, the other reading for this week, Racial Discrimination and Facial Recognition, is where you're going to learn about various kinds of racial discrimination that happen, sometimes intentionally in the use of facial recognition, sometimes unintentionally, and to the regret of the technical people who implemented it. But it still happens. And you must think about this specific example and why the broader problem of surveillance is so much more important for vulnerable populations. And you must try to find out how and why such things happen. So I have a couple more anecdotes. One was when I was first a doctoral student, two of my international colleagues didn't get paid on the first paycheck because their names allegedly broke the payroll database. They were very long Indian names, and they broke the payroll database. Notice that it wasn't that the payroll database was broken, it was that their names broke the payroll database, was how this was framed to them. I objected to a university, again, this is both not the University of Texas, by the way. I objected to a university using my social security number on my student ID card and pointed out that they couldn't legally force me to give it to them. And an official gleefully told me that they would get and use my SSN as soon as I was employed as a research assistant, and that it would go on my ID card whether I liked it or not. And I already shared an example in a previous slideshow of the university that used people's names in their host names and had library search records available to the public. So your assignment is problematic data collection. So you have to find and write up an example of problematic data collection. And your description should be rich and it should be detailed, including who is disadvantaged and why. And whether you use an LLM or large language model or not, you have to include an appendix. And this appendix, if you use an LLM, will be an appendix of prompts that you used, or if you don't use an LLM, it'll be an attestation that you did not use an LLM. Because lying is obviously considered cheating. So if you use an LLM, you may as well say that you did, rather than expose yourself to the possibility of untruthfulness by putting in an attestation that you didn't. Um, and I want to see the actual prompts. I'm actually, if the LLM wrote your paper, I want to see how you prompted it to do so. And if you prompted it to write a prompt to write your paper, I want to see that prompt too. And the length of the paper should be 750 to 1,000 words, which is about 3 to 4 times the length of an abstract. Okay, so that's all I have to say about problematic data collection. Go get them, and I'll see you next week, I hope, anyway. Thank you for watching.